the insanity's at an all-time high this afternoon. Emergency services, they are being held right now at Woke United Methodist. All classes have been canceled at Woke U this afternoon, so everyone can head straight to church and ask the oak tree for guidance. Several of my sources in Washington, D.C., they've reached out to me. They told me that they witnessed AOC riding her broom to the emergency service at Woke United Methodist. Because the broom is so much better for the environment. My sources told me Joe Biden, he intended to ride his bike, but he just kept falling down. He complained to cackling Kamala that he had a bobo, also known here on the channel as the face of Bomani Jones. Right now, as you are watching this video, people fresh off their weekly Woke Wednesday bath, they are gathered at woke churches around the country in the assumed position of fellatio, begging the woke oak tree to save them from this blatant violation of the woke commandments. O tree, how great are thou branches! Please, my Lord, I beg you to save us. Our rights are being trampled. Our agenda is compromised. We need your guidance, O wise one. Wash me with your wisdom and acorns. In the name of oak tree, I pray. Amen. Ah, woman. Ah, shovel. Ah, rake. That's what you call an inclusive prayer. I'm not sure if you know this, oak trees are non-binary. That's why it is the symbol and lord of wokeism. KC, why are the purveyors of propaganda upset today? Did someone tarnish the altar to George Floyd? Did someone steal the shovels and rakes from the woke brothel? No. A far greater sin's been committed. If any of you live in cities dominated by wokeness, I hope you're prepared. A summer filled with peaceful protesting is coming to a street near you. They like to call this the summer of love. Filthy people filling city streets unbathed, the stench of foul body odor, reminiscent of the stench that you smell when attending a WNBA game at the local dump. Lovers of self-pleasure are upset because earlier this morning, the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. And the propaganda machine cranked into overdrive. It is a good thing Jamel Hill spent the last few weeks oiling up the propaganda machine. Change the oil, change the coolant. The propaganda machine is running at 100% capacity. Bill Simmons called today one of the worst American days of his lifetime. When I think of the worst days of my lifetime, especially has to do with the country, I think of something like September 11th. I think of Hurricane Katrina. I think of March 2020 when a star was born named Fauci. I think about shit that actually affected me. I don't give a shit about the overturning of Roe versus Wade. It doesn't affect me. I can't have a baby. Now, perhaps Bill Simmons is one of those woke men who have the ability to get pregnant. I don't. Elizabeth Warren, also known as Chief J. Strongbow, head of the Northeast chapter of Woke Native Americans, which always confused me. I thought you needed to be an actual Indian to be accepted into that club. But we are living in the identifier era. Kamala Harris identifies as a cackling clown. Leah Thomas identifies as an escort. Elizabeth Warren, who looks more like Casper than Squanto, she might as well identify as a Native American. Oh, Lizzie. She published a nice woke soliloquy explaining why the federal government should not be allowed to make personal health care decisions for women. Liz, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. I know you share an IQ with the woke shovel that lays next to you at night, but the overturning of Roe versus Wade sends the power back to the state government where it belongs. I swear to God, the propaganda is at an all-time high today. I know most of you in my audience won't fall for this bullshit, but a lot of people will. They're trying to paint the narrative that the overturning of Roe versus Wade tramples on a female's right to choose. That is 100% bullshit. Like I said, it simply sends power back to the states to decide if abortion will be legal. We have active members of Congress imploring people to get into the streets and protest. Don't take my word for it. Watch for yourself.
Decision illegitimate! This decision illegitimate! This decision illegitimate! Into the streets! 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 Into the streets!
That is a member of Congress stoking the flames. Can you fucking imagine if Ted Cruz was pushing people to get into the streets when Donald Trump was encouraging people to protest the presidential election? They formed a fucking committee to investigate it. But when AOC does it, the media doesn't pay any attention. It's just normal behavior, but you just knew. You just knew. We could not have a landmark day in the political arena without our favorite woke welfare recipients in the WNBA getting involved. Oh, my girls, or at least I think they're girls. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between Liz Cambage and LeBron James. I know LeBron is a man, the jury's still out on the proper identification of Liz Cambage. Check out some of these responses from the woke welfare recipients in the WNBA. Sue Bird tweeted that she was gutted with a nice little broken heart emoji. Funnily enough, this is the exact same reaction that I had when I found out the WNBA would be returning for their 26th consecutive season of failure and unprofitability. The Seattle shitfucks. They tweeted this nice piece of propaganda. People can buy guns with impunity, but women lose their right to choose. Why should people be punished for exercising their Second Amendment right? I have been telling you guys, these people want to take your guns. Now, I'm not exactly sure what guns have to do with abortion, but what the hell do I know? I'm not a graduate of Woke U or a recipient of woke welfare. Unlike the participants in the WNBA, I earn my money. Check out these two tweets from an aspiring future congressional swamp creature, Natasha Cloud. Oh, Tasha. She is showing off what she learned in her courses at Woke U. Tasha majored in victimization of the shitfuck with a minor in being useless. She should have majored in economics. Maybe she would have learned how to turn the WNBA into an actual business instead of a charity. Natasha Cloud is calling for a civil war while comparing America today to the 1960s and also calling all of us disgusting. You know what disgusts me? Looking at these so-called women in the WNBA. That's disgusting. You know what else disgusts me? A recipient of woke welfare, someone who hasn't generated 1 peso in profit, comparing abortion to what black people went through in the 1960s. I honestly don't understand why woke welfare recipients in the WNBA give a shit about abortion. Aren't most of these women lesbians? I know they think men can have babies, but how in the fuck do 2 women conceive a child? Well, KC, they can pay for in vitro fertilization. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Let's pay tens of thousands of dollars for IVF so we can get pregnant, then abort the fucking child. You know what should be aborted? The WNBA. Let's keep abortion legal long enough to get rid of this fucking dump of a league. If the WNBA spent half the time focusing on how to make a dollar instead of how to become a political activist, maybe this dump would become profitable. Instead of focusing on abortion or counting facial hairs, how about focusing on your jump shot? I took my parents and my girlfriend out to lunch Sunday for Father's Day. The place we went to, they had a WNBA game on TV. At one point, I spent about 5 minutes watching something that closely resembled YMCA basketball. They would dribble down the court, miss an open jump shot, opposing team would rebound. And when I say rebound, they didn't jump up and grab the ball just fell into their hands. This created an opportunity for transition. Now, when this happens in the NBA, the ball passes half court, 2 or 3 seconds. This welfare recipient rebounds the ball. They slowly dribble up the court. Lane is wide open for an uncontested layup, and they miss. Like I said, I watched for 5 minutes. Both teams combined for about 6 points. It was some of the worst basketball that I've ever seen. I have been more entertained pumping gas than watching grown women pretending to be men walk up and down a court pretending to play basketball. Now, just when I thought my stomach was full of propaganda pie, I come across USA Today. Yesterday, David Mastio published an op-ed in the New York Post. David Mastio, he is a former editor at USA Today. I say former because he got demoted and eventually left the woke piece of shit. Why? A while back, he tweeted, "People who are pregnant are women." This statement was highly offensive to people who identify as a letter of the alphabet. Executives at USA Today demanded that he delete the tweet. Tran Dan across the hall was deeply offended. He doesn't understand why you don't think he can have a baby. It's been his lifelong dream to have a child. Dan's a man? That doesn't fucking matter, David. Men can have babies too. One of the largest newspapers in the country demoted one of their editors because he offended 1 or 2 people at USA Today who passed woke biology. But the bullshit from USA Today gets even better. They published an op-ed earlier this afternoon claiming the overturning of Roe v. Wade violates a woman's right to conceive a child. What? I'm pretty sure abortion's meant to get rid of the child. How in the fuck does sending this decision back to the states, how does that impede your right to conceive a child? Well, USA Today explains. They claim that states could possibly outlaw in vitro fertilization because the unused embryos in the process will be classified as people. Do you understand their reasoning? Because I sure as hell don't. I would love for someone to explain to me how states possibly outlawing abortion makes it illegal to conceive a child. Wouldn't that be counterintuitive? I'm going to have to enroll in Woke Logic 101 at Woke U to get a better understanding of this. Now, I could continue showing you example after example of this bullshit, but it's Friday afternoon and I don't want you getting sick heading into your weekend. USA Today has always leaned left, but they used to be a somewhat trustworthy source for news and information. Let me show you something. In 2017, USA Today had 3.1 million daily subscribers. Look at what happened, though, when they immersed themselves in wokeism. The woke movement, it started to gain traction as soon as Donald Trump was elected. By 2019, USA Today had lost close to 2 million subscribers. In the span of 5 years, they have lost almost 2.5 million subscribers. Now, you would think this would cause them to change course. You would think this would cause them to go back to actual journalism instead of woke propaganda. But like I've told you before, it's not about making money anymore. These people are not worried about revenue and profit. Their only goal is the transformation of this country. Remember during the COVID, they kept telling us about the new normal? This is what they were talking about. Call it the agenda, call it the Great Reset, call it whatever the fuck you want. The end result is the same. They want complete and total control of your life. No more free speech, no more guns. These same people fighting for a woman's right to choose abortion are the same people supporting men dominating women's sports. Now, on the surface, it doesn't make sense, right? But when you recognize their agenda, it makes perfect sense. They're trying to turn everything upside down so they can rebuild the country the way they want it, poisoning the minds of children so they have an entire generation dependent on the government for survival, eliminating individual rights. Everything's always about the collective. They keep talking about saving our democracy. We don't have a fucking democracy. The federal government is a republic. The fucking people trying to change the system don't even know what system they're changing. A democracy and a republic are not the same thing. When you spend the amount of time I do following the woke movement, you start to realize that none of these people have a mind of their own. It's complete groupthink. They all say the same thing. WNBA players have no idea what they're talking about. You think Natasha Cloud has a clear understanding of Roe versus Wade? They are pushing the narrative that overturning Roe versus Wade violates women's rights when it has nothing to do with it. It simply sends the power back to the states where it belongs. That's one of the differences between a democracy and a republic. America was set up so that each individual state has its own laws, has its own regulations. In a democracy, that power lies in the hands of the federal government. But anyway, not trying to give a civics lesson this afternoon. Give me your thoughts on the overreaction to this Supreme Court decision. Are we on the precipice of another summer of love, another summer filled with filthy people protesting? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.